Hello and welcome to PFF Fantasy Football Podcast Solo Tight End Edition. I'm your host, Ian Hartitz. I hope you're having a great day. Let's talk all things tight end. I want to go through kind of the big usage takeaways we had from week one, get you my streamers of the week, get to the rankings, and get on with all of our lives as we float on a rock throughout outer space. So with all that said, thanks again for tuning in. Let's get after it. So got a handy dandy chart up here for YouTube viewers. Also tweeted in my article, tweeted it out, got in my article. I'm just trying to spread the good PFF word here. And basically I went through, I took every team's top 2 tight ends and snap percentage, looking at the route percentage as well, and the targets per route run. Shout out to my compadre in life, Dwayne McFarland. He has determined over the years that if you're a tight end with an 80% route rate and you're getting targeted on over 20% of those routes, it's just awfully hard to bust. So I didn't quite go that high with the numbers because it's really tough to do that. And as much as I would just love to tell you guys how great, Mark Andrews is and how, much that we can trust him week to week, I understand that, he's only going to be on one fantasy football team throughout the season. So with that said, I went ahead and I looked at tight ends that have run a route on at least 70% of the dropbacks and demanded a target on at least 15% of those routes. So guys, only 10 tight ends actually qualified this week. Mark Andrews, 94% route rate and 25% targets per route run. Also at Dalton Schultz, Tyler Higbee, Darren Waller, Travis Kelce, TJ Hawkinson, Kyle Pitts, and Pat Freiermuth. Yeah, Ian, we know all those guys are pretty awesome. 2 other wild cards though. Juwan Johnson with the Saints. Hope you listened to my guy Nathan Yonke on the Tuesday edition of this podcast. We went over the waiver wire and the goodness that Juwan Johnson has a chance to provide. I mean, an 80% route rate, 16% targets per route run. Those are elite numbers, ladies and mostly gentlemen. Also, Albert O, 73% route rate and 15% targets per route run. Objectively hilarious start to the season for all those Alberto truthers. I mean, seeing Andrew Beck and Eric Saubert go out there and just crush it the first couple drives of that game. You hated to see it, but these underlying numbers, guys, very, very reasonable for Alberto. Again, 73% route rate, 15% targets per route run. I mean, look at David Njoku. He ran less routes and he only had a 4% targets per route run rate. I mean, you look at Alberto, 73% route rate. Kyle Pitts was at 76%. So Alberto is on the field as much as we, can really expect right now. Could that change when Greg Dortch comes back, or maybe someone gets a little healthier? They add someone off the street. Yes. But for now, Alberto, Juwan Johnson, and also Tyler Higbee really deserve to be treated as the top 3 streamer options of the week. In terms of Tyler Higbee, he was out there for 92% of the routes and actually 20% targets per route run. Should have mentioned him before in that previous group. He, of course, qualified as well. So again, George Kittle not practicing, or if you're just, not feeling whatever streamer you had last week, Tyler Higbee is my favorite streamer of this week because he's on the field all the freaking time with Matthew Stafford, and I think AJ Terrell is going to clamp Allen Robinson the hell up. I know it was rough for Higbee last week, but he was facing a true juggernaut defense potentially in the Buffalo Bills, who were just able to get pressure without even blitzing anybody. I don't think the Atlanta Falcons are going to be nearly as lucky against this offense. So Tyler Higbee, more than happy to go back to the well. Juwan Johnson catching passes from Jameis in an offense that, not wide open in terms of target share, but I think we could see Jameis and company continue to press, their foot on the gas pedal, and Alberto. Again, Higbee, Johnson, Alberto, top 3 waiver wire additions of the week. I think we can already, put them ahead of guys like David Njoku, Evan Ingram, Cameron Brate, Logan Thomas, Mike Gesicki, Noah Fant, some of the bigger names out there. So 6 other tight ends who didn't quite qualify in terms of running around on at least 70% of their offense's dropbacks, but, okay, I'm sorry. They actually did qualify in terms of running a route on 70% of their offensive dropbacks. They didn't quite get as many targets, and maybe it was just a one-week thing. Wouldn't completely press the panic button on guys like Dallas Goedert, Hunter Henry, Tyler Conklin even, who was out there 91% of the routes, I believe. That was kind of surprising. 81% of the routes, 91% of the snaps, when they paid CJ Uzomah a shit ton of money too, but I'm not a general manager. Cameron Brate, Hayden Hurst, and Evan Ingram finishing the group. So yeah, especially Goddard and Hurst, quality plays still at this point in time. Just some miscellaneous notes on the tight ends who I think that we've come to expect would be more in this conversation, but just aren't. Cole Kmet with the Bears, 84% snaps, 70% routes. Not bad. Just 6% targets per route run, though. I mean, this really was, guys, a 2 tight end offense. Ryan Griffin did work behind Cole Kmet, but it was still a 43% route rate, a 20% targets per route run. I don't think Ryan Griffin is ever going to work ahead of Cole Kmet, but when we have other guys in offenses that are way better offenses with tight ends that are actually on the field way more often and aren't losing targets to the guy behind them, that's why Cole Kmet was never someone that I was going out of my way to get in fantasy drafts. So please don't confuse this with a victory lap. I fully expect Cole Kmet to lead the Bears tight ends in productions, but once again, I just think his end of season target total is going to be far closer to 70 or 80 than the people that just said, oh my gosh, like who else are the Bears going to throw the ball to? Cole Kmet, 120 targets confirmed. So couldn't be me there. Unfortunately, similar sentiment with David Njoku. Like Kmet, he played pretty much a full-time role, and I once again expect him to lead the Browns, tight ends in receiving, but Harrison Bryant out-targeted him 4-1. They've now played 5 games together without Austin Hooper, and even across that sample size, Harrison Bryant has more targets. So once again, fully expect Njoku to lead the way, but if it's 70 targets from Jacoby Brissett over the course of a season, that's going to be tough to expect much consistency from. With Gerald Everett, still a recommended streamer. I have Gerald Everett as my tight end 12 this week, even though his underlying data wasn't fantastic. He did lose a lot of reps to Trey McKitty and even some to Richard Rodgers, but had that nice touchdown. He was making some plays. Maybe it was just a 1 week, slightly lower usage than we're expecting. And we once again have not only Donald Parham sideline, but also Keenan Allen. So at this point, Gerald Everett could just actually be Justin Herbert's like number 3 kind of pass game option that he's hoping to get the ball to more plays than not. For that reason, I'm fine continuing to fire up Gerald Everett as a top 12 tight end, even though, again, his underlyings aren't quite as great as we were hoping. Dawson Knox, similar to Everett, just not quite as great as what we were hoping for, seeing Dawson Knox only get targeted on, 8% of his routes run, but it was 1 week. Let's not completely freak out. This is still a basically full-time player in the Bills offense. And, if we're going to take some chances on tight ends who just don't have the most elite uses that we're looking for, they should probably be guys playing in offenses with Justin Herbert and Josh Allen. Also, Zach Ertz, Logan Thomas, Irv Smith, and Robert Tonyan take their usage with a little bit of a grain of salt. All guys were banged up going into the week and were accordingly limited. Please, for the love of God, don't go chasing OJ Howard's production. And Noah Fant, Mike Gesicki, Mo Alley Cox, Brevin Jordan, in my opinion, can be cut, and you should not be expecting them to have really any meaningful kind of contributions throughout the season. So I think that covers most of the big categories. Again, I do like Hayden Hurst, 78% route rate, 14% targets per route run in a potential shootout against the Cowboys. If we see T. Higgins out of the picture, Hayden Hurst gets a well-deserved bump. Dalton Schultz, 100% snap rate, 93% route participation rate. The problem is where the touchdowns coming from this offense. So I have Dalton Schultz still within the top 10, but I have him as my tight end 9. I am chasing better quarterbacks at this point in offenses. Zach Ertz, Dawson Knox, TJ Hawkinson, Dallas Goedert. I mean, at this point, the comp for Dalton Schultz, I have him right next to Pat Freiermuth because I think both guys are talented enough, but when we're catching passes from Trubisky and now Cooper Rush, it's tough for me to be overly optimistic about the guy. We'll see what happens with Tonyan moving on up in the Green Bay pecking order. But last week, guys, like Mercedes Lewis played the most snaps out of any Green Bay tight end, just 38% of the actual snaps. So 4 tight ends moving on in Green Bay. Tough to be too happy about anything there. Sucks we lost Mo Alley Cox, but Kylan Granson actually rather inexplicably working ahead of him. Evan Ingram, not giving up on just yet, but man, Trevor Lawrence was pretty damn erratic in week 1. I'm just not super convinced that we're going to see him enable more than one relevant pass game option on a week-to-week basis. I do think it'll be Christian Kirk more times than not. Maybe Zay Jones or Marvin Jones can make it happen. I mean, I did see Zay Jones. His underlyings were good, but it's more so Trevor Lawrence and also the fact that Zay Jones, he's been in the NFL for a while, and we've never really seen him string together more than a couple good games here and there. So he got paid. Maybe Trevor just had a rough week 1 and we're going to see a lot better stuff. I was pleasantly surprised, watching the Jaguars just all 22, how much more they were kind of pushing things downfield and running some different route combinations. But for now, I just have not seen still enough from Trevor Lawrence to think that this Jaguars passing game is one I want constant exposure to. Mentioned Tyler Higbee's elite stuff, Darren Waller's. So Kyle Pitts, I know people are disappointed about him dudding, but calm down, guys. He'll be fine. 85% snaps, 76% routes, and 25% targets per route run. Gotta love that. Great day to be great there. And fun note from my friends over at Underdog NFL, using PFF data, but I'll shout them out for being the ones that figured it out. Falcons increased Kyle Pitts' inline usage by 9% in week 1 versus 2021. That's fine. We get this thing stuck in our mind about like wanting tight ends out in the slot or out wide. I want them running routes from in line or just, barely off the line in the slot, because then they're more likely to be matched up against linebackers and safeties. Why does Cooper Kupp always get those matchups? Because he's more so in the slot as opposed to outside. So please don't think that's a bad thing for Kyle Pitts. I think we're going to see him be just fine here moving forward. Hunter Henry, 88% route rate was good, but Jonnu Smith is actually far more involved than last year. Right now at that Patriots passing game, I would rather just stay away. Think that's about it there, everyone. Let's quickly get into some of the ranks talks before we get out of here. Again, not worried at all about the big four tight ends, Kelsey, Andrews, Pitts, and Waller. At this point, George Kittle, once again, looking like he could be missing some time. I would not be forcing him into the lineup if you don't have to, even if he's going to end up playing, if we get that kind of game time decision, limited snaps type of deal. Again, Dallas Goedert, TJ Hawkinson, Zach Ertz. I have them as my tight ends 5 through 7. I might very well flip Ertz up to that tight end 5 spot if he doesn't have an injury designation by the time the weekend goes around, just because who else is Kyler Murray going to throw the ball to in Arizona at this point? I will give Dawson Knox a slight lean over Dalton Schultz, even though Schultz has a superior underlying metrics, just a reality of being in the pass-happy Bills. Josh Allen-led offense instead of a potentially run-heavy Cooper Rush-led Cowboys offense. Again, Tyler Higbee, official streamer of the week. I have him tight end 11, just one spot behind Pat Freiermuth. I have Higbee tight end 11, Gerald Everett tight end 12, Hayden Hurst 13, Albert O 14, Juwan Johnson 15. Yeah, guys, we're playing ball now. We got the data. I'm not going to live on a reputation of what we thought someone was supposed to be a month ago and put them ahead in the ranks of, guys that are now giving us the rates that we want to see out of them in the first place. So David Njoku, my tight end 16, followed by Tunyon, Henry, Ingram, Kmet, Brait, Logan Thomas, Mike Gesicki, and Noah Fant. So always updating these. You guys can get the Pro Football Focus app and get start sit recommendations from myself, Nathan Yonke, and Kevin Cole all the time. But for right now, again, Tyler Higbee, Everett, Hurst, Alberto, Juwan Johnson. Those are my top 5 tight ends ranked outside the top 10 that more times than not, hopefully your team already has one of in the first place. So great day to be great, guys. Thanks as always for tuning in to PFF Fantasy Football Podcast. We'll be back each and every week with these positional previews. Also, check out the shows where I got some lovely guests on. Kevin Cole, PFF's Finest, comes on Thursday to talk matchups. I got Nick Boddiford talking injury on Fridays. Dwayne McFarland on Sunday night talking all things, reviewing all the games that just happened. And my guy Nathan Yonke on Tuesdays going over the waivers. So a lot of talking. My voice has been a little bit sore, but you know what? We're just grinding out here, baby. Week 2, NFL is back. I love it. So thanks again for tuning in, everyone. Until next time, take care, everybody.